Warning: the following video has not been approved by the Comic Code Authority and is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Drewski, the Comic Assassin, coming back at you on our regular Monday show here. We're going to talk about some movie news. We're going to talk about what came out last week, what was hot, what was not, and also what you should be checking out when you're going into your local comic book shop this coming Wednesday, or wherever you can make it. How's your week been? Hope everybody's doing good. I know my kids, they were on vacation with the grandparents all last week, so me and my wife actually got to chill at the house and have some peace and quiet. We actually got to go to a dinner and a movie. Finally saw ENDGAME. Finally. I know you're like, oh, you're so late in the game, but you know, I got kids. You know, when you have kids, especially little ones, you gotta make sacrifices sometimes. But we finally got to go see it. No spoilers here, but overall, I liked it. I thought they did a good job of, one, making it entertaining. Even though it's a 3-hour long movie, it went by pretty quick. And I really like how they tied up all the movies together and gave it a lot of continuity. So I really appreciated that. And overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. There were some things I didn't like. Obviously, anything that has to do with Infinity Gauntlet and doesn't have Adam Warlock or Silver Surfer in it, to me, it's kind of blasphemy when it comes to comics. But what are you going to do? It was still a good movie. I guess, yeah. Hulk has been disappointing these last two movies. And while I enjoyed his character in this movie, he was more for the comedy than doing what we like Hulk to do, and that is smash some shit. You know, like, it was just... So I wish they could have done that a little bit differently, but that's here nor there. Also, we got to watch the movie Glass. If you have not seen Glass, I recommend you do it. It's a good comic book movie, even though it's not related to comics per se, but it is a comic book movie. M. Night Shyamalan, I'm a huge fan of his work, and if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. And I would recommend going and watching the two precursor movies, Unbreakable and Split. Those are both awesome movies by themselves, but this movie Glass was really good. Ended totally different than I thought it was going to end, but that's kind of M. Night Shyamalan style. So yeah, definitely go check those out if you can. So what's going on with the news? There's not a lot in the news, or at least I'll say not a lot that I'm going to talk about during this video. I guess there is some rumor that Keanu Reeves might make his way to the Eternals movie. And there's a lot of hype about the Eternals movie. I know they got Angelina Jolie is already on board. And this is a time, I'm telling you, to try to go get those Eternal keys before it gets too hot. Number 1 and number 2 are probably going to be hard to get. But the other ones are pretty reasonable. So in fact, I actually went out and I was able to get number 5. I got 2 copies of number 8. Number 9, number 10, and then last I got number 12. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I got all those books for under $12. Okay, so there might be more depending on where you go, but they're still very affordable, especially if you're going out now and looking. Okay, go hit them back issue bins. And I guarantee you, with enough searching, you can get these for a reasonable price. The only other news that really comes up in my mind that we're going to talk about here is Alexandria Cortez makes it once again. So some of y'all have already heard the word about, was it Devil's Due Press came out with the AOC Freshman Force comic, and they came out with that Wonder Woman variant that DC got all mad about and sent them a cease and desist letter. And in response, they came out with another parody cover, which has AOC as I think Superwoman or Supergirl. You had Omar as Batwoman or Batgirl, and then you had, I think that's Bernie as the Arrow. I think the cover it's clever. I like how they did it's a cease and desist title. I thought that was really clever. And that kind of ties into something else I'm going to talk about. A lot of the other news that I listened to over this past week, it kind of got me a little triggered. Okay? And at first I was going to come in and do my little rant here in this show. I'm choosing not to do that because I do want these Monday shows to be within 30 minutes. So I know y'all got other stuff going on y'all's lives. You might want to be checking out other people's content. But I think I'm going to do a video when it comes to politics, social justice, political correctness, when it comes to what we see in the comics and the movies, and what kind of shifts are being made, at least in my eyes. Because there's a lot to talk about. It's very controversial. I know Reggie Collects just did a video kind of similar to this. If you haven't checked out Reggie Collects, go check him out. That man's got so much great content on there. He's probably one of my favorite guys to watch, to be honest with you, because he's got so much stuff. He puts out so much stuff, it's hard to keep up with the stuff he's coming out with. But he did a similar topic, and he probably did it a lot more tastefully than I plan on doing it, because I really don't plan on holding back that much. I'm going to give you my opinion straight up on some of these issues. So if you're interested in that video, it'll probably come out. It might come out later on today, but it'll probably come out Tuesday or Wednesday. But if you want, you can always subscribe, do the little notification bell, and that way, if you want to watch that when that comes out, you'll know when it comes out. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it kind of got me heated. So, but with that one AOC comic, the Freshman Force, I don't necessarily mind political comics. That Barack Panther I thought was hilarious. There was another one that had Barack Panther and Trump in it. And I thought they were done good. Because no matter if you're on the left or the right when it comes to political issues, those books poked fun at both groups. You know, I mean, you got the Barack Panthers one. I remember the one that it ended with a Kanye monger. So it was like a mishmash between Kanye West and Killmonger. And I thought it was just cleverly done. You know, those books aren't for everybody, but I can be on board with them as long as they're hitting it from both sides. If anybody's read the Freshman Force book, let me know how it is. It seems like it's a very agenda-driven book, just based on what I can see from the cover. I mean, golly. Anyway, I'm just going to stop with that before I get too far into it. But, so what y'all end up picking up last week? It was kind of a slow week, but there were still some good books. I haven't had a chance to read all of them, but these were kind of my pickups. So first off, I did get the new Incredible Hulk, Last Call. I kind of flipped through it. It does have some Harpy in there. You know, it seems like it might be a decent issue, so I'm looking forward to that read. I did end up getting the Black Cat, the art gem. To me, this was a stunning cover, and this has gone back for a second printing. I'm not necessarily sure why, because the thing was so heavily printed. In fact, I went back to my local comic book shop this weekend, and there were still stacks of this book on the shelf. So I don't see why it's warranted for a second print. I'll definitely give it a read, probably read the second one. When I went through the Marvel previews, I kind of saw where they were going with the story. I think around like issue 3 and 4. I don't know if it's going to keep my interest for long. I'm just going to be honest, but I'm at least going to give it a chance starting off. How to get the new Agents of Atlas number 3. Y'all probably know number 1, number 2 were hot. Not sure how. I don't think this book heated up as much, but definitely had to pick that up. I'm actually going to save that one for last. So Deadpool number 13. 2 things you're going to learn about me is, 1, I won't talk about ratio variance. All right, that's not what I'm going to do on this show. There's other people that talk about ratio variance. I don't deal with them, and you won't hear me talking about them unless there's something really newsworthy about that variant. All right. Another thing I'm not a huge fan of are these themed variants. All right, I'm going to talk about this later on too, but this is actually a themed variant. They're doing the Marvel 25th anniversary stuff. But that's a sweet cover. All right. But I don't like it because, there's that phrase, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. I say bullshit, especially when it comes to comics. When I see a comic book, whatever character is on that cover, I expect him to be inside the book. All right, I want to know what character is in there, or even what kind of storyline is being portrayed inside the book on the cover. All right, so I'm not a huge fan of these homage, these themed variants, but this one was just so beautifully done that I decided, hey, why not? Alright, so I'm glad I picked up that one because it is a sweet looking cover, but I'm just not a fan of the themed variants to begin with, unless it has something to do with, like I think when they were doing the Spidey Villains one, the one for Venom had that sweet Carnage cover on it. To me, that's cool because, you know, Carnage and Venom kind of go hand in hand sometimes, right? But the Vision and Scarlet Witch don't necessarily go together with Deadpool. So that's just my thought. How to get me this variant. Once again, I will talk about variants that are cover price though. This is the Deceased #2. I think this is one that a lot of people are going for. It's the Nightmare on Elm Street tribute cover. Thought it was very well done. Also, got me the Savage Avengers #2. And so, yeah, I think there was some stuff going on in this book. I haven't had a chance to read it, though, yet. So, I had to pick up that one. It's a pretty sweet cover, too. I like the Conan Wolverine kind of battling it out. I think that's pretty sweet. They did have a few True Believers that came out last week, and I had to get Amazing Spider-Man #1 True Believer. For $1, you can't go wrong for a reprint. I've always liked this cover. So if you have a chance to even read #1, this gives you a simple, cheap, affordable way of actually being able to read #1. So it's worth $1 to me. But the one that heated up, and I think it's probably the only one that heated up out of the whole group, and for comics in general last week, was The Walking Dead 192. Now, if you watched my video last Monday, I told y'all this is a book you're going to want to pick up. And sure enough, if you haven't picked this up yet, you're probably out of luck unless you want to spend some money. Because I know right now on the secondary market, it's going for at least 3-4 times cover price. So that $15 to $20 range. Major event happened, and it's one of those events that, to me, honestly, it can make or break The Walking Dead and how long they're able to continue. I used to love the show. I watched it from the very beginning, and then, I'll be honest, once Negan in that scene with Lucille, where he did the bang that was heard all around the world, all right, that's when I started to mentally get checked out of the show. And I have a feeling this is something that could be the same for the comics. So if you look at the show, I think right now their ratings have plummeted so bad. And I haven't even kept up. Like I said, after that one incident, which I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, I watched a few more episodes after that, but I was just mentally done. I was mentally done with the show. And I'm sure I'll pick it up one day and I'll finish watching the show. But I just haven't got the heart to do it yet. Same thing with the comics. It's one of those moves that they pulled that either the fans are going to stick with it to see where it goes, or people are absolutely going to hate it and they're going to drop it. And so it'll be interesting to see how the fans react to the next issues of Walking Dead. Because, yeah, it could be a make it or break it thing, in my opinion. I know the comics in general have been kind of lackluster as of late. They kind of picked it up a little bit and fell back down. So this is an event that it definitely shakes the Walking Dead universe, right? So yeah, if you're a Walking Dead fan, you definitely want to try to make sure you get that book if you can. Because this is one, it may level off, but I think it's going to keep going up in price. And I would not doubt there's going to be a second print. All right, so what should you be getting this Wednesday or whenever you can make it to your local comic book shop of what's coming out this week? We have a lot going on. I'll start off one, IDW, Amber Blake #1, the second print comes out. Number one heated up. You know you're gonna spend well over cover for the original number one. So this might give you an option of picking up a number one for cover price, especially if you don't mind second prints. They didn't have an image available for that one yet. Let's see, some indie stuff. There's 2 books that's coming out. One's called Trustfall, number one. It seemed like it had a little interesting premise there, so that might be one you might give worth a read. Rick and Morty, Mr. Masicum, number one. I'm not really into Rick and Morty. I know somebody might think that's blasphemous in its own right. I just never really had the chance to really get into it, but there are a lot of die-hard Rick and Morty fans, so they might be wanting to come out and pick this book up. DC, there's 2 main books that I would suggest. One is the Catwoman number 12 art germ. Once again, beautiful cover, kind of that classic Catwoman style. I'm really digging this cover. The book itself hasn't been that bad either. I'm still a couple of issues behind, but when I was reading them, I kind of dug the story. It wasn't bad. Also, there's a new one called Event Leviathan, number 1 coming out. You know, I'm gonna say pick it up. It's the number 1. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of them printed. But you just never know. You never know if it's going to heat up or not, and it might be a good read. I'm kind of done with this multiverse Batman stuff, so I don't know how much I'm really going to want to get into it. But nonetheless, it's the number 1 that's dropping this week. The next one, I would say, just if you've been keeping up with it, the Detective Comics 1005. I believe this is the conclusion issue of the Arkham Knight story arc. So if you've been keeping up with that story arc, you want to make sure you probably get that issue. That way you kind of have a complete run of that story arc. So Image, not a lot going on there. There's 2 books, new books that are coming out. One's called The Ride, Burning Desires, number 1. Had a kind of interesting concept. I'm digging this. Is Adam Hughes cover art. I'm really digging the cover on this one. So who knows? It might be a good one. And also there's another one called Sonata, number 1. And might be worth giving it a shot. Me personally, just looking at the 2, I think The Ride kind of fits my personal interest more. But, to each their own when it comes to these kind of things. Now, it is a busy week for Marvel. Alright? So first off, I showed it last week, Amazing Spider-Man 22 that came out. It had a major event, and you know what? This is actually going to be a good test, because I also talked about last Monday about how Marvel was saying they were going to change the way they did main character or villain deaths. So making them either permanent or have something extra going on along with it. And we did get a death in 22. Alright, so now I think it'll be a good test to see if Marvel puts its, owns up and actually follows its word. And is there going to be finality to it? And if there is, maybe you might be going back and get Amazing Spider-Man 22. Alright? But Amazing Spider-Man 23 comes out this week. It's going to kind of be a follow-up from the Hunted saga. Kind of seeing where the chips are falling right now. So it might be more interesting, at least from a read point of view, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan, it might be worth picking up. Alright, the next one is, The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 6. The second print is coming out this week. So this was a book that kind of caught people by surprise. There was a new character called Spider-Bite in it. By the time I was able to get to my comic book shop, they were already out. So it seems some people really enjoyed the story. People really enjoyed the character. So if you weren't able to get the first print of it, now's your chance to possibly get a cheaper one with the second print. So keep an eye out for that. Also, Immortal Hulk, number 19. I think everybody is going to be looking out for this. This week, I will say, I'm not a huge fan of the Alex Ross cover this week, which is rare because, like I said last time, he has been killing it. But for some reason, this cover just doesn't necessarily do it for me. But still picking up the book. We got what's going on with the Abomination, Rick Jones, and all that. So it'll be interesting where they're going with the story. Also, the Venom number 15 comes out this week, so if you've been reading the Venom, you gotta make sure you want to pick this up. Cates is still not on. I think Cullen Bunn is the author for the writer for this one once again. But it's been a very interesting story, to say the least, as some of you may know if you've been keeping up with the Venom storyline. So but probably one of the bigger ones is the Silver Surfer Black. So even though we don't get Cates and Venom this week, we get Donny Cates and Silver Surfer. And I'm really excited about this book. I really am. I've actually been reading some of the older Silver Surfer stuff. I'm actually trying to get a full run of the Requiem story arc, because I read number 1 and that was really good. So I'm really excited about this new Silver Surfer, and let's see what Donny Cates does with it. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of cover A on this one, especially because it has that black background. It's going to be so hard to keep, especially if you're worried about grade. It's just so much harder to get higher grade books with those black covers. So I would go cover B, or there is a cover D for cover price by Adi Granov. And I will say, even though they haven't released the image for the Adi Granov book yet, if he does any work resembling what he did on that Amazing Spider-Man Galactus cover, that's the one I would go for. Now, for those who don't know, and this is what I'm talking about, the themed variants. Adi Granov came in, what was it? Was it Amazing Spider-Man 12? I'm not 100% sure on the issue, but if you look up Adi Granov Galactus, you're going to see this image. Probably one of the most gorgeous covers with Galactus on it that I've seen in a long time, and maybe done so far when it comes to Galactus. Beautiful cover, but I passed on it because it was on Amazing Spider-Man. And once again, I'm not a big fan of the themed variants. But if you took that cover and you slapped that on this Silver Surfer, it would have fit perfectly. And let's just see what he does. So once again, I haven't seen the image for it yet, but knowing what he has done with some Silver Surfer characters, and him being an artist on one of the covers, I'm really excited about that. So who knows? Who knows what happens there? So yeah, I think that's about it. I guess the only thing else that's coming out is Major X. I don't know if anybody's reading that crap. I don't know. You might like it, but I don't know. That was all a few weeks old news about old Rob Liefeld getting old pissy because there was a small little snippet of Major X in one of the Spidey Deadpool books, and technically it is a cameo, and he got all pissed off. But you know what? I'm sorry. I think Major X is a rip-off character in the first place. You don't believe me? Look at this right here. This is from an action figure. All right, looks like Major X to a T. All right, so who's ripping off whose stuff? All right, so and I'll give a shout out to Comics Heating Up. That's where I found out about this little action figure from. But with that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you for watching. If there's anything that I should be picking up, or anything you picked up last week that people should know about, put it down in the comments below, and just let me know what you think about the video, y'all. And anyway, y'all have a good week, and happy hunting.